Hi everybody, it's Renee and I'm here with day 3, which is the February layout for the National Stamping Month Memories in the Making Cut Above kit from Close to My Heart. This kit will be available September 1st through 30th and it is while supplies last. So if you like it, you may want to go ahead and grab it up before it's sold out. There are several bundle options. The bundle that I'm using today is what I'm calling the Big Mama kit, but it's actually called the Calendar Kit with Stamps. Any information that you would like to see about the different bundles that are available, the prices, how you get them. I did a previous video doing a walkthrough of the whole kit, as well as I created a coordinating blog post to give you all of that information, and I will link that for you so that you can get there pretty easily. So today's kit is February, and this is the layout that we're going to be working on today. This particular layout has a lot of pieces, and I'm going to show you some techniques that I have for putting together strips that I found made it a lot easier to put them together rather than trying to stick them down each individually. So with that, we're going to get started. The first piece, as you know, I like to start looking, okay, what goes where. We've got a bit of a cluster right here. These will go on later. All of these are strips that we are going to adhere to the page. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our base and make sure that we have our base oriented correctly. So for this base, your little scallops point down. So we'll go ahead and throw a couple little pieces of tape to hold it in place. That'll help us. And get that down. Okay, now we're ready to go. So I think what I want to do first is I'm going to do these strips that lay down. So for those, and these two strips on the side. So I think what I'm going to do first is I am going to place, I'm going to take a look at this and see, okay, it is smaller than the two sides. So I think what I would like to do is I'm going to lay this piece down first. Then I'm going to create these strips all as one piece. I'm going to show you how to do that. Then I'm going to butt it up against that. Then I'm going to place this on. The reason I'm doing that is if for any reason I've got anything slightly off, when I get done, I can just cut off a little strip right here if I need to. Okay, so we'll start with that. So we'll grab one of these pieces. We have two of these. And we're going to go ahead, and I'm trying to stay straight in the frame for you. I'm going to go ahead, place glue on here. And I think for this, I'm going to go ahead and use my ATG because this piece is wider than my ATG tape. And my ATG tape holds really well. And like I've said in previous videos, this is going to be hanging in my kitchen. My husband and I are going to be using it as a memory keeping for the year and take pictures as the year goes by and add our pictures. So then at the end of the year, we can see, oh, okay, so this is what we did in all the months. So I want to make sure that nothing is going to fall off in the kitchen while it's hanging on the fridge because, you know, you've got your changing humidity, you've got heat, you've got cold, depending on what's going on. So you want to make sure that your glue is going to be sufficient. You're not going to have a problem with everything laying on the floor when you walk in the next day. Okay, so now I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to see that it starts with a bigger piece. Then I have this polka dot piece, then I have a light pink, and then I have this peachy color. So the way I like to do these is lay them out. And I think what I'll do is I'll flip this over so that we have just a black background to make it easier for you to see. Okay, so what I do first is I lay them out. I just dry lay them out so I see where they all go. And then I also make sure if any of them have a directional print that I've got them going the right direction. Now, luckily today, none of these have a directional print. So then what I like to do is I like to get my Scotch tape. I find this is the easiest way to create these strips rather than gluing them straight down onto the scrapbook page and then maybe them being, you know, not quite straight. So what I do, I'm going to move these guys out of the way. I just start at the top. And what I do is I butt them together, make sure that they are straight on the one edge, because if the other edge isn't straight, I can trim that a little bit. And then I just butt them together to make sure they are really close together. And I put a little bit of tape to hold it in place. And then depending on how big it is, you don't have to tape the whole thing because you are going to glue it down. This is just to keep your strips together. And so I take a look and make sure that I don't have any gaps in my strips, and that looks good. Okay, so I'll flip it back over again, and I know that this is my next piece that I want attached. So go ahead, butt it together, get it lined up on this far edge. And if you're doing this on a slick surface, it might be a little bit easier for you, but I want to make sure that you can see this without the reflection coming back off my lamp. So we'll just go ahead and stick with this back of my Versamat. And then we'll flip it over, make sure that we don't have any gaps, and it looks good to me. Flip it back over again, and then add our last strip. So we'll line it up. And there we go. And another thing that you can put, you know, I said that my husband and I are going to be putting, you know, taking pictures throughout the year. Another thing that might be fun is to use memorabilia. So let's say we went to some kind of a fun concert. We may not have, you know, taken any pictures or anything, but we might have our concert tickets. You can always put your concert tickets and then tell a little story about the concert and why you went to that concert and maybe some, you know, why it's special to you, that certain band. So it doesn't always, you don't always have to do photos. And then there's other times where you've had a really great event that has happened in your life and you didn't get any pictures of it and you're just devastated because you don't have any pictures. How are you supposed to capture the memory? All you need to do is write your story in where you would normally put your picture and write your story. Stories are just as important as pictures, and if you don't get a picture, you can fix that. Okay, so tell your story with words. So we're gonna go ahead and put down some glue. And as before, I'm using more glue than I would normally use, but better safe than sorry. Oh, and it's starting to squeak. That must mean needs a new tape runner. Okay, so when I look at this little guy, it doesn't tell me, it tells me that I should be up 2 3/4 inches, but I also have this scallop line that I can use as a guide. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place my T-ruler up 2 3/4 and just make sure that, yep, that is gonna look right. So remember, I placed this already so that I could have that straight edge to butt up against. And that'll give me a chance to make sure that I'm gonna have enough room for everything. So as you can see, this isn't going down exactly perfect, but I think it's gonna be okay. Okay, so we've got that down. Go ahead and run this all the way across. And now we can put our other strip on. So for this strip, again, I'm going to use my tape gun to put my tape down and take my time so that I don't end up with the tape hanging over the edge. If you ever get tape hanging over the edge with your tape gun, all you got to do is run your finger along the edge and you'll be fine. Just get that tape off of the edge. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to butt this up against this guy and line it up here at the bottom. So we're going to line it up. It looks like our measurements are going to be absolutely perfect. And that's what I really love about these Cut Above kits, is that they do all the cutting for you, and the cutting is usually absolutely perfect. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I use my cutter, I don't get things exactly right, and so sometimes things don't line up. So there we go. There's our background. So what's our next step? Okay, so I would say our next step is to put together this cluster right here. Now this cluster has several layers, so you may have to look at it really close. So you have your photo mat, you have your placeholder, you have your photo mat, but then you also have a secondary mat underneath, and you have a die cut. So that die cut's gonna go on. This die cut's gonna go on. And we have this tag where you can do some of your journaling. So I think what we should do first is work on putting together the cluster of our photo mats. So the way it has this is this photo mat is going to go underneath this one, sort of like that, okay? So I think what I'll do is I can see that I need to make sure I don't put glue probably about a 1/4 inch from the top and the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and place some glue on here, some tape glue. You can also use liquid glue, and that'll allow you to move everything around a little bit if you find that's easier for you to use. Be careful with liquid glue though. Our paper is very thick, but if you use too much glue, I don't care how thick your paper is, it is going to start to buckle your paper. Okay, so I know that I want about a 1/4 inch on each side and about the same at top and bottom. So there we go. So I've attached that piece. Now I can place my photo holder with just a little teeny bit of tape with, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be an 1/8 inch all the way around. It is. So place your photo holder down, your placeholder down, and then you've got this piece done. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to create that little cluster right there that gets attached to your photo mat. So I think what I would like to do is I would like to start with the bottom pieces and get everything adhered and then adhere it to my photo mat. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to want to do is to glue this down on top of the white. So I'm going to slide this over a little bit so that I don't get any glue on my background. Go ahead and grab that guy. Put my glue on the edge of this because that's going to be peeking out. And I will tell you, if you're using this, put that lid on as soon as you're done because it dries so fast. Okay, and looking at my picture, it looks like that scallop is just right about there and it is centered on that striped paper. Okay. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to add our tag. Now our tag is where we're going to do our journaling. So you really have a choice here. You can wait and just hold on to your tag and add it after you've done your journaling so you know how far in to tuck it. Or you can go ahead and put it on and then do your journaling right on it. I'm going to go ahead and do that so that I don't lose my tag, and just to give you an idea of what it should look like when it's done. So I think in this case, I'm going to add my glue to the bottom of this so that I don't put my glue too far over on my tag. So I'm just going to use some dots, and hopefully I've used enough glue this doesn't fall off, but if it does, we can fix it later. Okay, so we will place that down. Make sure that I've got it pushed down entirely. Now another thing you can do is if you want to doubly secure it, which I'm going to do, I'm going to put a piece of tape back here. No one's going to see the tape, but it's going to provide that extra security so that it doesn't fall off. Okay. Okay, so this little piece is done. We do have a couple little hearts that we're going to stick onto it, but we can stick those on after we're done. And then it looks like it tucks in about that much. So I think what we'll do is go ahead and put some, I think we'll use the tape glider on this since it's a pretty good amount of space they've given you to adhere it. Go ahead, and it looks like for this one, it's centered a little, sort of centered off a little bit. Go ahead and attach it. And then it looks like we are probably ready to put this down. So let me bring this back into camera a little better. And it looks like we are lining this up right about here. It says it's 3 inches over and 3 inches from the top. So 9, there. And then on our ruler, we're going to go at about 3.5. So it's going to be about, and it's measuring it from the edge of the pink. So I think it's going to go right about there. And that looks good. And then we have right here, we're going to do So Sweet, some hearts. And then we're going to have another little journaling area where we can put the date if we like. So we'll go ahead, add a good amount of glue to this, including our little sub-cluster, I guess we'll call it. Okay. And keep that straight. We are at 3 inches, and then this is going to be lining up with 3.5. Okay. There we go. So there's that on. So our next thing we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and let's put some of these hearts down to get them off of the sticker sheet, just so they're not in the way when we're trying to pull off our letters. So one is going to go here. One is going to go, let's see, let's use a pink. We'll use a pink one over on this side. And then we know that one of our die cut hearts is going to overlap our tag a little bit. So we'll put some glue on that. Now you can always add a little dimension if you like. I'm not going to be adding dimension this time around because I want to keep everything pretty flat since it's going to be hanging in my kitchen for a while. But you could put this on with glue dots like I've shown you before, and that will give it a little bit of dimension. You could always use foam tape as well if you're doing this directly into a, I'm going to put it down here, directly into a photo album, because even though your pages are going to be under a page protector, you can still see that dimension. It still looks really nice. Okay, so I think what we'll do next is we'll put on this little guy. This is where we'll probably write the date for, and I'm going to use tape runner on this one. That's probably where we're going to put the date of when the picture was taken, or maybe even if there's some little journaling, you know, that I want to add. So that goes, we're just going to follow our picture, and it appears that that goes right about there. We'll stick that down. Okay, and now it's time to put our letters down. So I think what we'll start with is the word sweet. The word sweet is all one piece, so we don't have to worry too much about it. We can just go ahead and lift it up off of the sticker sheet. We don't really have to use the ruler to hold pieces in place because it's all attached to it. It's attached to itself. And push those little guys down so they stay on the sticker sheet. That one didn't stay down too well, so we'll pull him off in a sec. That one didn't either. These stickers, I'm telling you what, they are a good quality cardstock, and their stickiness is really good as well because they are not wanting to let go. Okay, so what we'll do is we will use our reverse tweezers to hold it, and then we'll use our little pokey tool to pull those pieces off. And I just keep a baby wipe off to the side, and that's where I stick either little pieces of stickers that are left over, or like the stickers the glue that we're going to pull off the back of here, or anything else that's sticky, and I want to make sure that it doesn't stick where I don't want it. So, and I'm sorry if I'm off camera, I need to see it a little bit better. Okay, so here's the word. Well, here's wheat. We don't have the S yet. So we'll go ahead and place this according to our what it looks like over here, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So we're going to go ahead and do this part right here, and then we'll add the S to match up. So I think it'll look nice right about there, and that'll still leave us room for our S. Now, if you had a really large word and it was in several pieces, you may want to go ahead and use a ruler to pick the letters up so that you can keep them properly spaced. This one will be pretty easy because it's mostly all in one piece, and then we're just going to add the letter S. And the letter S is bigger than this, so it doesn't need to be lined up perfectly because you can just eyeball it. So there's the word sweet. And then the only thing we have left is a couple of hearts and the word so. So we'll go ahead and pull those up. And I'm not going to use my ruler on this one either because the letters are actually very casually written and they aren't, I've got stickers stuck all over me. And they aren't, it's not necessary for you to line them up exactly on each other. I'm sorry, I've got a sticker stuck to me that was not letting go, which that bodes well for them staying on the scrapbook layout for sure. Okay, so we will place that letter. Then we'll glue down our 2 remaining hearts, and then we will be finished with the February layout, which so far I think this is the one that has had the most pieces, been the most involved, but so far I kind of feel like this might be my favorite one so far. You'll probably hear me say it's my favorite one several times. So there's that. And then we have one more sticker that was hiding out. Because we want to do our rule of 3 as much as we can. So there's one more heart. Okay, so there's our layout for February for National Stamping Month Memories in the Making. Cut above kit. Go ahead and take our glue off. And then I think we are complete for February. So there's our February layout, and I will see you for our March layout tomorrow. Bye.